Hey there, you beautiful people. This week's episode is brought to you by Deep Creek Glassworks. Deep Creek Glassworks is your place to find handmade, one-of-a-kind glass for everybody. Trying to stand out with a handmade gift? Trying to impress your loved ones or someone you would like to become a loved one? Look no further, Deep Creek Glassworks has you covered. They offer ornaments, pendants, wine glasses, functional glass, and more. Hop on their website to pick up your glass pumpkin decoration just in time for Halloween. They offer fast shipping and crush-resistant boxes, so support a local business and check them out at their new website, deepcreekglassworks.com. Works is spelled W-O-R-X. And just for you, make sure you use the promo code SUPERFUN for 10% off of your next order. So go ahead, hop on deepcreekglassworks.com, W-O-R-X, and get all of your glass needs met today. Love you guys.
Welcome back for another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Find us on Facebook.com/SuperFunPodcast, Twitter.com/SuperFunPodcast, Patreon.com/SuperFunPodcast, Instagram at SuperFunPodcastGo, iTunes at Superfun Game Review Podcast Go. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Welcome back for another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast. And welcome to the special edition of Tibetan Throat Singing, brought to you by us. All right, so I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. I just want to get some introductions. To my left, Ralph.
Oh, you caught me off guard.
Good quote.
Oh no, hang on. It's Leon McDuff.
Oh my god.
To his left, Hurry.
Oh great. Next thing I know, you'll be putting the gun to the back of my head telling me about the rabbits.
Good execution. To my right, Clark.
Are you proposing to me, Sully?
And I am Steve. Real greatness is what you do with the hand that you're dealt.
Thanks,
Hi,
Gandalf.
I'm Steve. Yeah. We can isolate that and turn that into like a rock and techno song. Hi, I'm Steve. Hi, I'm Steve.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, with the
Throat singing, yeah.
Bring it up again. Hi, I'm Steve.
So tonight, we have... Exactly. Uncharted 3.
Drake's Deception.
I feel so deceived.
Decepticon.
Drake's Decepticon.
That's the game I played.
You mean you didn't get to the Megatron final boss? Oh, shit.
I feel like the title could be better.
It could be.
And I'm all for like a little alliteration there, but I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah? All right. Is that... Are you telling me your initial impression right now?
Whoops. Nope.
Oh.
Nope. You tripped me up. Nope.
Not yet. No, it tripped you up.
Hip, hop.
All right, well, let's get into some initial impressions. Harry, why don't you start us off?
Ooh. So, again, like the other two, never played any of these. Fresh to the franchise. Well, not fresh
Not anymore.
So
Nope.
fresh.
But, again,
No Uncharted virgin no more.
I knew nothing about this game going in. I had certain expectations based on the previous two titles, but everything else was clean slate.
There we go. Clarkman, lay it on me.
I played this game originally when it came out on the PS3, and I played the HD collection. I don't know that much. There was a lot of differences, maybe some upscaling and stuff like that. All in all, it was the same game to me. Like I didn't notice a lot of differences between the two. Some sharper shooting mechanics, but other than that, it's the same game.
Alrighty, Mr. Ralph.
I didn't play this when it came out. I only played Uncharted 2 when it was new. I played the other two for this, obviously, but I went into this one similarly with a clean slate. I do remember the promo materials and the look of it. I remember the sand setting, and I remember the sequence with the plane, seeing like trailers for that kind of thing. I thought it looked good. I don't want to get into my full thought. I'm trying to dance around it.
Come on, Tenderfoot.
it didn't really appeal to me. It didn't hook me like the second one did. For whatever reason, the second one I had to play that when it was new, but this one didn't.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of in the boat. Never actually played them before like these came up. I wasn't involved in Uncharted 2, so I'm missing some story references because I never actually went back and played Uncharted 2, so I'm only 1 in 3 right now.
I think you're good, actually.
Yeah? Okay.
Zoe, or Chloe.
Chloe,
yeah, you wouldn't know Chloe,
Yeah,
but
she was throughout the second one.
Yeah.
Cutter's new to this game.
Yep.
Yeah, he seems new. Obviously, what was Love in it? Was that her name? Yeah. She came back, so I forget, at the very end of the first one, were they married? Or did that happen during 2 at some point?
They kind of hinted at it at the end of 2.
Right.
Okay.
They were going to start a relationship.
Okay. All right. So I really didn't miss too much of the plot. between that.
Most of the second game was you were traveling with Elena and Chloe, and you're kind of like, who's going to be the love interest at the end of this game?
Oh, okay.
Awkward.
Yeah, awkward. All right. I think that about did that. So let's get...
Did that.
Let it do what it did.
Let it do
Done
what
it.
it did. Done. Let's get into some game development.
Game development.
I have an interesting factoid.
I think I
about
know where
this.
you're going.
So, this is actually the game that started getting me hyped for Last of Us.
Oh.
Originally, back in the day, there was a newspaper in the bar scene right at the beginning of the game where they're like fighting in the bar. There's a newspaper that if you isolate it, it talks about spores breaking out.
Right.
Oh.
So it was the teaser and Easter egg that everyone found and was like, what is this? What's happening around the world? And why wasn't it addressed in the game? And then Naughty Dog, who is the developer of this one, obviously,
Yep.
and Last of Us, kind of was like, oh, that's our next project. Because we're going to step away from Uncharted, which was news to the gaming community at the time.
Yeah. Well, they actually split the whole company like into 2. One half worked on Uncharted 3, and the other half worked on The Last of Us.
Correct.
They split
Yeah.
the development team.
Yes, the development team,
And
to be specific.
The director for this one, I believe she was not involved in Uncharted because it was a different... I forget the guy's name. But she was back for 4.
Correct.
Amy something. I don't know. Steve, do you have that? Or no?
I do not, actually. I don't have that specifics. I'm sorry.
So, one of the things that helped them cut down development costs on Last of Us and this game were they co-developed the engine for this game specifically and Last of Us. So the original PS3 version of this game and the original Last of Us and Last of Us Remake all run off of the same shooting mechanics, which is why I mentioned that the shooting felt different in this one. Mm-hmm. Because they seem to use the engine from 2, which is a little less shaky. The original PS3 port of this, or the original PS3 game, is a lot more like the shooting in Last of Us, where it's like a little bit shakier and like less static.
Right, the
Whereas
radical
this
moves,
one is,
right.
Point, shoot. There's no real wavering in the guns unless
Yeah.
you're aiming down sights. Things like that. So that's like a kind of interesting little twist that I noticed playing through this one. I was like, oh, this is actually like a really, like it's a much more crisp, concise shooting mechanic in this.
Maybe it's me, but I didn't feel that the shooting was that crisp, to be honest. But we'll get into that with gameplay.
That's his
Yeah.
gripe with all the Uncharted games.
I thought it was Clark's gripe, actually, because I was going to tell you that I agree with you for this one.
My gripe about Last of Us specifically was how that mechanic I don't think lended to survivors lasting that long and things like that. So
Right,
that
right.
was my gripe there. Whereas,
It's a realism thing.
Whereas in this one, I feel like the kind of like static shooting for someone who has been doing this for years and years, it makes sense for them to be like a seasoned veteran with a gun. And an original criticism I had of the PS3 version of this was the shooting, which is also my gripe that I had with Last of Us. So it was not just a unilateral.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fair
It was a
point.
unilateral criticism about this engine in general, is I didn't like the shooting mechanics.
Now, also with the development, they had re-release on the PS4 for the Nathan Drake Collection. On the PS3 versions, did have a multiplayer. Now, not being one of the players of the original game, I didn't really look too deep into that. Though I know Clark, wasn't that something you were saying that you were kind of sad that with the remakes, which were more easily accessible for us to get for recording,
Right.
that was not included. It was just the single player.
Yeah, and the multiplayer in this game, like, none of you guys have experienced it yet, so it's hard to really like talk about. But like, the game modes are unique, and there's a lot of real interesting things that they do with verticality in the games, because you can be hanging off of a sign that's 20 feet in the air shooting your pistol at someone that's on the ground, but they could take cover, and then you're getting into these interesting little like cat and mouse shootouts. But you also have to worry about the other like people in the deathmatch with you, or people in the capture the totem or capture the area things. And a lot of the what I really liked in the multiplayer of this one was the fact that they took all of the interesting artifacts from all 3 games and made them like weaponized, like kill streak stuff almost. So like raise a few zombies by throwing a totem in a certain spot, and like people would have to deal with them live, or you could like call in like military support, like a heavy trooper. Like one of the guys that takes a few shots, you have to knock the armor off. You could just call one into the middle of a multiplayer game. And I thought it was really cool. And I do know that whenever we get to Uncharted 4, the multiplayer's there. And I really want us to all like dive into that, because it's a lot of fun.
That sounds unique. That sounds engaging.
It's definitely unique. It's a unique experience that I loved from the second one on. And that's my only criticism about the Uncharted collection as a whole, the one on PS4, is that they cut the multiplayer out. Like, how hard would it have been to like just do like a fusion server where you have, do you want to play Uncharted 2 multiplayer, Uncharted 3, or just blend them? I feel like they could have done a little bit more for the money that you pay for the collection.
Mm-hmm. Probably not hard for them to do, but then again, maybe they're pushing the multiplayer for 4 by not having it here.
Yeah, I mean, this came out like right before, like a couple months before 4 came out.
Yeah.
And it was to push everyone to 4 because they didn't have PlayStation Now wasn't doing so hot then.
Yeah.
Not nearly as good as it is now. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of like a tactic for advertising. So they had to strip that away, and I really wish I would have paid $60 for this instead of the $30 that it debuted at if it had the multiplayer from those 2 games. It's that alone is worth a $30 experience.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, still not to take away from it. I mean, this game did get multiple Game of the Year accolades. It's also selling, I think it was like 6 million copies worldwide. So it was definitely a success in one aspect or another, especially if you're taking all the consideration of the original. But at least another thing, too, with you guys listening to this now, it's one of the PlayStation Plus free games in the month.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, so you can go download that this month.
Yeah.
The
January.
month of January 2020, and get those games for free.
Highly recommended to do that.
Worth your time.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good, boys. Let's move into some story.
Story.
Uncharted 3 follows Nathan Drake and his pursuit of an ancient artifact that leads him into an even bigger adventure to find the Aram of the Pillars. Spanning over Colombia, France, Yemen, and more, we visit Nathan's childhood meeting of Sully and Catherine Marlowe to the final conclusion that takes place in the Atlantis of the Sands, the mythical city that has been told by Sir Francis Drake and has lied a mystery for hundreds of years. And that is the main focal point for this line of Nathan Drake.
Very well. All right. Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of
Harry,
kick off the
Go for it.
discussion.
I
don't mind. Hold on. Let me set that up and punt.
Harry was ready.
So I think there's some really strong points in the story here, and then there's some big letdowns as well. So I wanted to start with some of the things that I really liked first. I like that they visited, as brief as it was, and they could have elaborated on it, but I'm glad that they visited the roots of Sully and Drake kind of meeting.
You like that character development there?
I do. I thought it was a really good thing, and I would have liked to see that continue more. Maybe spend a chapter or 2 on some of the training that Sully gave to Drake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or like just some of the experience over the years, like here he is as a young kid, and Sully kind of taking him under the wing. They kind of just sprinkled a little bit in the game and then kind of let it go by the wayside.
Gotcha.
But I still like
to tell you something that's like not spoilery.
Yeah,
not
that's
too spoilery. You're gonna like Uncharted 4.
I am very much looking forward to Uncharted 4, and I wanted to get through this
Yeah.
These first 3 to get to 4. I wanted to play it in the proper order. But no, I enjoyed that aspect of the game, and I thought it was like really good character building. If you guys wanted to add anything to that before I moved on to some other points.
I think Uncharted has this formula where they like to bring back two older characters from the previous game and then add a new one.
Did we bring back 2 in this one?
No, they keep adding. They haven't cut anybody yet.
They haven't cut anybody yet, but like Chloe takes a back seat like after the 3rd chapter.
Yeah.
I was surprised she was in this game, actually. I didn't remember
But no,
seeing
she
her
still
in
had
any of
that
the-
presence, though, in the game.
Right. But it's bring a few forward, add somebody new. It's
Yeah, I would agree more with that, yeah.
the band gets bigger and bigger as as the games go on.
Yes.
I don't think Cutter was the most interesting character that they've brought into this series, in the first 3 at least that we've done. I think it needed that backstory that you were referring to, Harry, where I think they needed to solidify up some more of the relationship stuff with Sully, because he's the ever-present mentor of Drake.
Yeah.
And I really like their dynamic. It reminds me so much of Last Crusade with
Yup, you
Indiana
said it.
Jones
I was going to get there.
and his father. Like, it's
Junior.
just that kind of like banter back and forth that they get going and stuff. And of course, like Drake's is like a little more new age and things like that, like new agey and like the sass and attitude and stuff like that. But that dynamic is there since these are pretty much Indiana Jones the game anyway.
Right.
They are. They are.
So like it was funny that like, you know, they decided to bring that kind of dynamic into the fold as well.
When you're trying to rescue Sully and like you're on horseback and you're trying to get to the jeeps, like it all started to really like it was there before, but it really started to click. I was like, wow, this is like Last Crusade, almost point by point. It really started to make itself clear there. I do remember, I think I said that, or someone said that what the games needed was more Sully. I don't remember which episode.
That was the last episode.
The last episode was
Yeah.
more Sully, and in this one, I felt like he was there more, but with him being there, it wasn't as good. It was just sort of like he is there.
I have feelings on that, but I think that's more script to this game.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think the script was as strong as the last 2 games.
You felt like the dialogue could have been kicked up a bit.
It didn't have the comedic punch that the other 2 games had.
True.
Yeah, it seemed to be kind of... Well, I only played... Obviously, I didn't play number 2, but it did seem to just be kind of trickled in here and there, like when it comes to kind of like the comic relief.
Sorry, while we're on Cutter real quick, I actually kind of like the character. I know he wasn't as strong as some of the other characters, but I like their formula. Like, when they add a character to this like franchise, they do it with purpose. Because they didn't cut Chloe, they didn't cut Elena. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they kept these characters in there for some purpose or another. Like, it's very easy for a game to feel a little bit more standalone if here's the cast of characters for this game, none of them make it to the next one. And I think this is a franchise, they are trying to build this
Continuity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like they gave him little extra personality traits too, because he seemed like, you know, this tough guy that kind of goes along with it, but he's extremely claustrophobic. Like where you're going through like the tight space and he's like, all right, you're almost there. All right, just talking to himself. They're like, are you all right? He's like, I'm fine. Just keep going. I'm
yeah,
fine.
and it was just for that scene. They never revisited it whatsoever.
No,
some tension.
there was only a little. Well, when they were going through like the alleys in the beginning, like that's when it came up, and then when he was under like the trance, you could tell he was like uncomfortable. They kind of he was all drugged up, man. You can tell they kind of came back to that a little bit.
I'll be honest. I thought he was going to turn at some point.
Yeah.
In the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
Because with this game, you weren't really sure where things were gonna go. I mean, even when I was sitting there playing, and I think Morgan was doing like making one of her cookie orders, and she's just calling out like from the kitchen to when I'm in the living room that, oh, he's gonna turn on you. Talking about Sully, he's like, oh, he's gonna betray you. I'm like, you don't know him.
Oh, Sully?
Yeah, she was expecting that. Like, she was expecting a twist somewhere. Like,
No way.
when she was listening to like Catherine Marlowe like talked to you, it's like all he ever did was use you, because all Morgan got was like all the dialogue part of things, and started trying to like make her own story go together.
You don't know Sully the way I do.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's like. You don't know him. He wouldn't do that to me.
You say that about him.
One thing I liked about going back in time to when Drake was kind of like a teenager was showing like how far into like his mission of uncovering these secrets has basically been like this is his lifelong journey. So that is something that I like they touched on. And
I don't really I don't know. In terms of the story for this one, I felt like it was weak. And this whole thing that this is Drake's like his like big personal mission that he's been trying to do for all this time. Like I don't really get it. There's one point where Sully's like, I'm losing the plot here, kid, or something like that. And I was like, yes, I'm losing the plot too. Like, why the fuck are we in France so that Drake, he's got this ring and he just wants to find the what Sir Francis Drake was doing for like 6 months on his journey. Like, he's just positive that he's got to get this. And there are multiple points in the other characters like, just let it go, Nate. Just let it go.
Yeah, but if you're
he's driven to continue, but we don't really know what is at the end of the tunnel. Like, it's not like, oh, it's a city of gold, or oh, there's a super gemstone or something. It just didn't seem that concrete of a motivation.
That was if you're 14 years old and you have like your ring from Sir Francis Drake and you put it into that little device, I forget what it's called, and you see shit start spinning going around, you're like, what the fuck is this? This is bound to be cool.
But he stole the ring.
Yeah. But then he found that it was like, Rosetta Stone, like it deciphers something. Yeah, that's going to be like a drive.
Long hidden.
It feels like it's just, no pun intended, it's like it's just dropped in there so you have a reason to play this game. But
there's no MacGuffin, I guess. There's no actual MacGuffin is my problem.
I wanted them to kind of explore the fact that his last name's not Drake.
Right. That it's a persona.
And why did he, A, choose to start calling himself Drake? And B, why did he start to...
Well, the school that he was at. She says that his school was St. Francis, I think.
Yeah, it was St. Francis, and he was at the Drake exhibit,
So he's trying to pass himself off as a descendant.
Right. But I just wanted to know, like, is that Drake's deception? Is that his last name's not Drake?
Is that it?
I don't think it's
deception.
talking about that Drake. I think it's talking about Sir Francis Drake's deception of
his traveling.
trying to hide that he went to that area.
I think it's both.
Double whammy.
I honestly think it's both.
This a fucking
layers like an onion.
Because honestly, like, Drake's a fraud.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Right.
He's not actually driven by this, and he has so much conviction when he tells Sully that, and Sully's like, "Nah, you're full of shit." And so Sully has indulged this like delusion, but like at some point you start to think like, did Drake like lose himself in the lie?
Oh yeah.
Or did he like did he over dedicate himself so he feels like he's going to be a failure? Or is he living up to a name that's not his own? Like there's some interesting aspects that they could have played with a little more with Drake that I think they just kind of glossed over.
Yeah.
And I think they just left some stuff on the table there that I don't think they fully explore in 4. Truth be told, I have not beaten 4. I got like 20-ish hours into it, like trying to do a completionist run. Mm-hmm. But like I haven't beaten it, but it doesn't seem like it's going there.
Okay.
There's a lot of other stuff going on in 4. But it's just one of those things I was like, I want to know. I thought the more interesting story elements of this was what's Nathan Drake's deception. As soon as you discovered Sir Francis Drake's deception, you're like, oh, okay, he was protecting everybody. Cool.
I do want to say that before we move on to another segment that I liked the story in this game, but the overall experience, there was some kind of diminishment. Like, I like the idea that he's picking up the trail from multiple people from multiple points in history, that like he's working with Sir Francis's stuff, and he was commissioned by Queen Elizabeth. Like, I think that's cool. And then they bring in T.E. Lawrence, who's one of my favorite historical figures. I think that's really cool, but it doesn't really go anywhere. They talk about his time before the war, before he became Lawrence of Arabia, which he did do like this long trek. Very interesting. They got their facts right as far as I can tell. But then it just sort of kind of gets pushed to the wayside, and I liked where it was going at about the halfway point, and for whatever reason then I just kind of lost interest in the story.
The delivery
became I don't know. Then it just became the whole time I'm like, when are we getting to the desert? Where's the desert? Where's the desert? It's like chapter again. Where's the desert? Hello, where's the desert?
I agree.
And then it's like the last 3 chapters, maybe.
Right.
You're in the desert after the entire journey getting there. I mean, I think the more you say it, the more I'm thinking about it. It's like, yeah, like the basis of the story, I like that. You know, it's intriguing and it's history, and I do like history, and yeah, they really touch on some really cool stuff, but the way they deliver that to you, like, it was just a little disappointing in that aspect.
Something that I wanted to say that's like more of a, not like a criticism. This is going to be kind of reductionist, and I'm sorry, you know, if you feel that way. Okay. The first 2 games, they take this like real semi-realistic, like over the top realistic, but like semi-realistic approach to 70% of their story, and then the story starts to drop off when they get into like the silly bullshit. You know what I mean?
Like we found the ancient city, and now people are running around all drugged up.
Yeah, and like they're all drugged up, and they're all like super soldiers and shit like that. The story kind of falls off for that last 30%, but as a whole, the experience is good.
Right.
In this one, they don't have that real wacky drop off until right at the end. Like the last chapter or 2 is like the wacky shit.
Yeah.
But you already know, like the character, like the player already knows what is causing all of the wacky shit to happen. It's like, oh, it's drugs because I saw this in the first third of the game with Cutter. So it takes away an element of like surprise to the end that I think really you get to that like 60-70% mark, and it just takes a drastic drop at the end. I thought the end of the game was like not compelling at all.
Oh yeah, I wanted to get into that.
So yeah, I guess with the formula of the Uncharted games up to this point is when you talk about the wacky shit, you're talking about the supernatural element.
Yes.
They're really like
it's drugs in this, but it's no.
No, there is no true supernatural. Like there's some weird over the top shit in this game, but nothing is truly supernatural.
The fire people, but that's only for
that's like
half of the
but I think that's an illusion,
right?
To him.
Because of the drugs.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like so it gets so reductionist where it just slowly shrinks this. Like, oh, if you're here for the supernatural stuff, we have it, kinda. Whereas in the previous 2 games, if you're here for the supernatural stuff, you're going to just be... Your tits are going to get blown off at the last 4 chapters.
Oh, never heard that phrase before.
Where my
Get your
tit go?
tits blown off. I like that.
The tits are blown off.
But like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they just like they lean real hard into it.
Yeah, they do.
At the end.
I also think it's go ahead.
And so like they just get to this point in this one where I feel like after like the second or third time you're like in drug world. You know what? Well, okay, so it's not. It's technically the third time that you see someone under the influence of the drugs. You're just like, I just want this to be fucking over. This is boring. It wasn't like the first 2 games are creepy when there's stuff happening, like the Yetis and like the ghoul creature things. But this one, it's not creepy. It's just like there's no creepy element to it. Like, oh, fire guys that are just really fucking annoying and
Scorpion
hard to kill.
flying
it's like,
around all
son
over
of a
the place.
bitch.
Yeah, there's a reason they leave you all of the one-shot weapons anytime you fight them, because I think they realized they made enemies that were annoying and just too hard to kill.
They were very hard to kill.
Yeah,
but that,
so
I mean,
here's-
we'll talk about that in gameplay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and I'm slowly kind of getting there.
That's
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
just-
Yeah.
I'm almost there anyway.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, I love this series, and just, man, it really falls off hard at the end. I was just ready to be done.
I think it's a bad ending.
It is.
Yeah,
I really think it is.
Really leading up to it, especially with the quicksand and the helping. I got pissed. I'm like, are you fucking serious right now?
Indiana, let it go.
Yeah, it's just that just annoyed me, like, to no end. Obviously, I'm glad certain ones got their comeuppance, but fucking A, really? Like that? It's just that was so fucking irritating. You know, I think for the most part, we kind of hit a lot of the big points in the story, and at least what stood out to us. So how about we move this along and parkour our way into gameplay?
Parkour.
Gameplay.
Parkour.
I've seen The Office.
Good.
Good.
Then
Thank you
you'll
for letting us
understand the reference.
Thank you for letting us know.
I can't get Leanne into the office.
You tried.
I did try.
And you're gonna marry.
Maybe you can get her into that.
Hey, you did. You can join the club. So one part of the gameplay that really bothered me was the cover system and moving it to really utilize it well. I feel like it was kind of janky, and I did not like that.
Everything was just like sopping wet with glue. Like,
Yeah.
you just stuck to everything in the game.
Let me get
Like,
against this wall. No, I'm stuck. Let me get against this wall. Okay, there I go.
Yeah, no, a lot of deaths because of that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you guys remember the one level where you're traveling between the boats and you're like hiding in the water?
Yep.
and shooting the guy.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
remember this one off the top of my head, but this happened quite a few times. But I was trying to hold onto the ledge so I could pop up, shoot a guy, and then get cover to heal up again. But a lot of times you'd be on that little ladder, and when I go to drop to dodge a grenade, I just go down one rung on the ladder. Then I'm just like, oh, fuck. And I just keep hitting the circle, but he just keeps going down just one rung on the fucking ladder. And
He's
I'm like,
just
I'm trying
humping-
to get away from this fucking grenade. Like, let's go.
No, he's humping the ladder.
my worst moment in that spot even was I was hanging from a ledge, and a guy came up to the edge, but he was like a little too far away for me to do like the silent kill. So he starts shooting me, and I pressed circle, and for some reason, like some wire or input got crossed somewhere, and I just jumped to another ledge that was like a foot behind him. He was just like, whoop. And I was like, oh, well, I'm dead. Floating in the water. And the grenade went off right next to me. Just
Ragdoll galore.
some of the...
Yeah.
I feel like in this game, they really exploited... Or enemies exploited the fact that, like, oh, like, I'm a big fucking armor guy. I'm also going to, like, move silently. You're not going to know where I am. And shotgun, you're dead.
And 3 grenades.
Yeah, and then every guy carried fucking 3 grenades. You could pick up one every, 100 feet in the game. Like, it was just... Some of the gameplay, the shooting specifically, like, the actual, like, gunfight scenarios. I thought the shooting was tight, but the actual, like, scenarios that they put you in, I feel like you were always at a loss or a disadvantage instantly, and it was really hard to even position yourself to where you could, like, okay, I can, like, hunker down here, because you would just get, like, 7 grenades thrown at you from all different directions.
They want you to keep moving. It was pretty clear that they didn't want you to stay in one place and camp or whatever.
But they're so unrelenting with bullet damage that you get out of cover, and there's 3 snipers in, like, every fucking arena after the halfway mark of the game. So you can't run and gun because you'll just die.
Yep.
So that you have to, like, literally sit there, and I kind of felt like almost Dark Souls cheese to how I beat the game. Like, I kept being like, all right, well, I'm just gonna, like, hop back and forth between these two, like, kind of far away pieces of cover, if as long as the mechanic worked when I needed it to.
Right.
Like, I wait for guys to come in close quarter combat them. Hopefully they have a shotgun, and then I can just kill everybody in the fucking arena, because you could, like, fucking snipe with the fucking shotguns in the game. The experience of the actual battles sucked. I'll just flat out say they sucked. There are some cool parts, like I liked, like, the, like, sometimes, like, zip lining and shooting and, like, hanging and shooting, where they kind of forced that on you a few times. Like, those moments were okay. I really liked scaling the ship when you're, like, going up the side of that one ship, and there's, like, all the yellow outcrops, and you're hiding behind an AC vent,
And you're getting shot at.
Yeah.
I felt like that was the only time the climbing system worked in a battle the entire game, and that's not good, because you need to climb to get positioning. That's like my rant on the shooting scenarios and stuff. I just think it was bad, and the crazy thing is, on the other side of that, the multiplayer worked so well, and I don't
Here we go.
understand. No, I'm just saying, I don't understand how, like, the multiplayer works so well, and it didn't transition to the game. And the only thing that I can deduce in my head about that is just enemy placement and the difficulty and what the enemies came equipped with.
And bullet sponges.
Every enemy had grenades in this, instead of just like, oh, that's a grenadier, I need to take them out first. Every enemy had grenades. Even the fucking pirates that were wearing, like, a fucking t-shirt and rags
And
for
no
fucking
shoes.
pants and no shoes have 4 fucking grenades.
Well, I think that's where they're just kind of imposing their own will of making you use the mechanics that they put in, like throwing back the grenades.
Yeah.
Which even that became a pain in the ass sometimes, because if you're behind the wrong cover and you're trying to run back to grab a grenade to throw back, and you're not facing the right direction at the right time, you're just throwing it against a wall, throwing it back at you, and then you're just blowing yourself up.
Or even worse than that is when you get 2 grenades thrown at you, because you can only throw one and then the other one blows up as you're throwing it. I don't know why they locked the animation for the grenade throw. Let me throw it on the run. Let me actually pick it up and continue fucking moving and throw it. No, he picks it up and locks in position.
I'm going to hold this for a second, and I'll throw. Let me grab the... Boom.
There's not 2 other grenades on the ground here that are going to explode when I throw this. Yep.
I gotta say, just talking about the combat in this game, it's just bringing me down. I have to say that I can agree with you on almost all your points for the combat. It was I like the story. I like the settings. I like what we're doing. I'm tired. I don't want to fucking shoot this guy again. This is just I had a couple sections if you guys saw any of my streams where I just kept dying over and over and over and over again, and that could be me.
Saw that
playing in a relaxed setting. This is just a fun adventure romp. I'm not going to be okay, I need to shoot this guy first. I'm not going to get that serious in it. I'm just playing for fun, and you can't do that. It's it forces you. The way the combat is structured, it forces you to take it more seriously than the tone of the game actually is, and I don't know. The combat really started to drain on me or grate on me. I just wanted it to be over.
It just beats you the fuck down sometimes, where it's just over and over in the same spot. Especially if you reload, if your game loads back once you die, and you're still just in a point of being pinned. One that comes to memory is when you're in the abandoned town in the desert, and where it's just swarmed by enemies.
Oh, that's what you saw. You saw me do that part where I died
I was part of the same spot, but I think I was either just a little ahead of that or a little before, where you start off basically behind the wall. And then...
No weapon, I think. That's the one you started with no weapon?
Started with no weapon, had to pick one up, and then you have 2 enemies coming to the right, and then there's kind of the little fortress bunker thing on the left, and you can either run left to go behind the pillars...
And get a handgun.
And get a handgun.
I know exactly what point you're talking about.
Exactly. And then it almost feels like for a lot of these battles, unless, you're godly at this game, and if you are, hey, hats off to you, but that was not my stance when I was playing this, where... I would start to die so many times, I would start being able, okay, well, there's going to be 2 coming from the right. I know there's 3 over here, so if I go over here, then I can shoot the one on the right, then maybe I can run over, grab his sniper rifle, take 2 of them out, and then it's basically you have to just keep remembering how the game starts spawning all these people, and to a certain extent that... it feels good once you actually beat it, because you're fuck yeah, this was really hard, I finally got through, but it also feels like I don't feel like I need to get to this situation to be able to get past this point where I have to start memorizing where the fuck these people are coming from just to further myself in it. And then once you get, past that little first wave, then here's fucking armored guy asshole with a A12 behind a corner and just blast you once in the chest and you're fucking dead. It's oh, fantastic.
I didn't get any of that Dark Soulsian satisfaction for clearing a section.
Me either.
You know what I'm talking about? I was just okay, great, let's move on to the next.
You're just happy to get through it. It's not oh, I'm accomplished, but it's it was just a real little big ping in the dick.
One more thing I want to say about the combat for me, and then if you guys want to talk about it more. You didn't get to speak on combat yet.
That's on purpose.
The fact that there's no final boss in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to.
There is, but it's...
No, wrestling with a knife with English Pro Jared is not my idea of a final boss for the 3rd game in this series. They should have blown the fucking roof off with some kind of cool boss fight, and no, it goes out with a whimper.
Genie.
It goes out with
I am the almighty genie.
Should have bought the genie.
The gin comes out of the
Prince Nathan Fabliasi Alia Dracois.
It's some super being that's been encased the whole time. Just,
10,000 years. It's Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Such a crick in the neck.
You know what I mean? That was the weakest
I would turn off
ending.
The game. I couldn't kill him. I would just be I can't do this. I'm sorry, Robin.
I'll just wait and you'll do it yourself.
No.
Instead, you get a guy that brings a knife to a gunfight.
It's not the end.
That's a fucked up trophy idea.
Oh my god!
You just hide behind a pillar long enough.
Yeah, right. But I thought, Jesus Christ, there was a lot in there.
I'm sorry.
There was a lot in there to take in.
Yeah.
Sorry, listeners. The fact that there's no final boss to me was the biggest disappointment.
I get that.
For
no, there
the
was.
combat.
It's a knife fight with
English Pro Jared.
English Pro Jared.
No, I don't think so.
Harry,
I mean, it is
combat me.
But so I like the corridor fighting when it's like run and gun, especially like certain instances. Well, I guess there wasn't any with the flooding, but like during the fire when you're trying to escape the burning building, you're fighting guys while trying to avoid the environment. But it's corridor. It's not the open arenas are what really got me because that really brought the game to like a halt.
Yeah,
it's like cool. I can't progress until I clear this area.
Yeah.
Oh, there's only 180 enemies in this area. It just like they kept coming.
180.
Those guys just kept coming and coming.
The worst arena in that game, in my mind, is the fucking sandstorm.
Oh, okay.
Where there's like 2 snipers on either side of you.
Oh, when you're trying to make your way to the
four
gates.
armored cars.
Yeah.
And the cars
Yeah,
shooting.
and the 2
Yeah.
cars where you have to run around. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, I
Fuck
died
that.
there a
That
lot.
was a
I
rough
died
one.
so many times there, and I was just like, I don't want to play anymore. It's just fucking boring going out and dying over and over and over. This is one of the few games where I will ever say that I liked the movement and the climbing and all of that stuff way more than I liked the combat.
But having said that, what those corridor levels where it's a little bit more narrow, not open arena, I did like the shooting there. I think because we talked about this in Uncharted 2, how the enemies were just so bullet spongy,
Yep.
all of them across the
yeah.
board. Enemy health was a little bit more balanced in this game in general. Those armored guys were still, I think, a little OP for this game. Personally, they have everything. They have a strong one-shot gun. Like that shotgun will just drop you one hit.
Oh, yeah.
They could throw 2 grenades at a time. They're completely armored, face mask. Like, I think that enemy is a little
You have
overpowered.
to dump the entire clip into them just to take off a piece of armor and then
Yeah.
hope
Yeah.
that you connect with the other one. Like,
But like your general enemies, yes, they could take a couple shots from like a pistol, but blam, the spaz shotgun, take them out one shot. The sniper rifle, one shot.
Especially
revolver was
like it
nice.
actually counted like with the headshots. If you shot them in the head, you shot them in the head and they
Yes.
drop. Yeah.
Location damage.
So I thought that the balance, for the most part, was a little bit healthier than the last game.
Maybe it's been too long since I played 2.
Yeah, but it was only the Magnum that would be like the one hit kill on 2. Everything else was
no, the crossbow as well.
Well, I didn't use the crossbow. That was
That's right, you did.
missed
Yeah,
out
I know,
on the best weapon.
There was
a
a
In 2, there's a one-shot crossbow.
Fucking
and it
love
kills
crossbows.
anything in one shot, including these big Brutus guys that were like, oh, you could dump 100 bullets or one fucking arrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
real quick question. In this game, the big bruiser dude, is
Yeah.
it the same guy or the same skin? Because in
Same
my
skin.
mind, it was the same guy up until the point where I like shot one of them, I think, and then I was like, oh, and then another one appeared later.
No,
So,
it's just the
the
same
skin.
base model, different clothes depending on what the other enemies look
Right,
like.
right.
Yeah.
And they're just fucking giants, and you're like, oh, okay. So
It's a missed opportunity for henchmen.
I literally have to spam triangle.
or square
Yeah.
and triangle.
Yeah, okay,
and
yeah,
circle.
yeah.
Okay,
and-
square twice, square twice, triangle to fucking kick him in the nuts, then punch.
Yeah.
Stand up, counter him again, kick him in the nuts, punch.
He grabs your throat,
Stand
circle,
up,
circle, circle,
yeah,
circle.
Yeah, where you do
circle,
the double
like-
thumb into the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so much Rochambeau.
And I was actually going to mention that the fight, like hand-to-hand melee, was very prominent in this game compared to other ones. Like,
and worse than the other ones.
yes, well, yeah, the animations. I got tired of seeing that kick where he misses when you hit triangle.
Yeah.
Like, how many times are we going to use that one? Where they just lunge kick and
Big
oh,
toe.
And then
or
he just
big
kicks him
boot.
square in the fucking jewels. If you follow up with an attack there.
Yeah, like it was a cool scene right at the beginning when you're fighting him getting out of that bar. But they
Yeah.
should have left it there.
Yeah,
and
yep.
like you just moved on with the gunplay the rest of the game. So
Kick
it was-
him in the nuts.
I don't know. They were just like, oh, this thing is so awesome. We need to just pump it into every scene of this game.
Oh, and they nerfed a really fun weapon in this too, which I hated. The riot shield
Yep.
is awful to fight against because they're really hard to take down. 'cause you
Shot in
can't
the
just, like-
ankles.
yeah.
But it breaks really easily if you use it.
If you pick it up, it's like 5 or 6 hits and then it's just gone.
Really, I never. Yeah, I didn't even fuck around with the riot shield.
It's fun, dude. It's fun, like turtled up, like, you know, a few shots and you can just like take your aim and fire. It's great. The game needed more durable shields.
Game
On-
needed a lot of
No,
combat.
on the other hand, getting away from combat for a few minutes, I think
Yes.
we exhausted that one a
Yes.
bit.
I'm
The
hot.
puzzles in this game, I think, were the best in the series so far.
I
Those
agree.
were fun.
They were more numerous. There were puzzles that led into other puzzles that were part of like a multi-puzzle thing. I had one gripe with the puzzles, though.
We'll get to you, Ralph.
They solved the one for me, and I didn't like it.
Is it the gear one?
The ones with the holes you had to reach your arms in.
I saw that.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
Oh, in the Notebook?
Were you watching my stream?
I was
when
watching your stream, and literally, Sully was standing in the right spot, and
No, they finally got fed up with me trying to figure it out, which I wanted to
it
figure
solved
out.
it for you.
Yeah, it solely eventually was like, oh, here, I think I got it. Everybody get in
really?
the position. And that drove me nuts. Like, I wanted, like, that was the fun of this game, is going through the Notebook, looking around the room, deciphering the puzzle, and trying to figure it out for yourself. Of
course.
Like that puzzle where you had to move the thing on the grid and then, like, use the torch to find the picture on the floor. You
Right.
remember what?
Yeah.
Like, nobody helped me with that one. It took me a little while, but I eventually figured it out. And when it clicks and you finally get it, you're like, feel accomplished. Not to the level of Dark Souls, but
No.
it's a rewarding experience. And just to have them, just to keep the pace of the game going, say, hey, I got it, let an NPC solve it for you, drives me bananas.
Yeah, at least there could be a better way, because if you're struggling for a while, they pop up with a hint. At least if you have that
Yeah,
option
no, the
turned
hints
on.
are fine, as
But-
long as they're subtle.
Yeah, but not basically, oh, here it is. Like, that's...
Oh, yeah, no,
that
they
could be...
full-on solved it for me.
yeah,
that's
they moved over to
aggravating.
the fucking spots and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, so I just walk over here and put this piece of paper up, and that's it. I saw you start that, and I saw Sully be like, hey, I think I found it. And I was like, no way. Because I was sitting
Did
there
that
like,
happen for you guys at all?
No.
Or?
No, it didn't take
So
me
you guys
that
were there
long.
messing around for quite a bit of time?
I just opened
Not
the
a-
Notebook and
not a-
started walking around.
Yeah, not a-
maybe it's because I put my hand in so many holes to begin with.
Oh, see, that I didn't... That
Did
could
you
be just
really
'cause
just
you keep,
say that?
You keep reaching into too many holes,
holes.
Harry. But no, after that first one, I didn't do anything. And then eventually it was like with the sketchbook or when he found the paper, I forget exactly how it came about. And then it was the pictures of the pillars. So that's where I started kind of going off of to try to match it up.
Right.
And then when there was the last thing about something about the moon, and I noticed the tiles with the different symbols on it, like, oh, okay, I have to go to the moon tile and then hold it up and then try to find the right angle. But
Right,
I didn't
That's how you solve that puzzle.
I didn't
It's
start-
like you find the moon thing. And
Yeah.
going around into like
Well, no,
two...
Sully told me how to do it. Hey,
Yeah.
go stand on that moon thing. Here, hold up the page. Here, I'm going to go stand over here. I was like, fuck.
Well, you got tired
Hey,
of
you
seeing
dickhead,
you.
put your hand in that hole.
Yeah, you went too many holes.
God, Nate,
I
how many?
did solve the one puzzle before I even knew what I was supposed to be doing, where you match up the body parts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Like I knew, I was like, oh, well,
The
here's
spear.
the guy. I was like, oh, well, this has to mean something. And then I went to the center of the room, found
like-
the glass that you had to shine the light. And I was like, well, I already know what I have to do with this thing.
I really did like that one though. It
That
took me a
was
minute
cool.
to find like the right angle with it, but with the way how you had to line that up, that was actually probably one of my favorite ones. I did enjoy that.
I know we're all gushing on puzzles, Ralph. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I
Which
just-
one didn't you like? Which one hurt you?
I-
too hard.
I actually struggled with the gear one for whatever reason. I needed multiple hints from the NPCs, like, oh, maybe if we do this, or maybe we do that, and like, you know,
Oh,
like,
where you had
walk
to have
through it.
the big, small, and they had to be a certain symbol on it because they turned a certain way.
Right. So when I looked at his notebook and I saw that he had ones crossed off, it was before I even got in the room, and I was like, okay, so is this the order I'm supposed to do? Like, I kind of ignored the fact that they were crossed out and tried to fit the ones that he had crossed out in, and it just didn't work. But anyway, the puzzles did not like light a fire on my ass or anything. Like, I don't
In
know
your
if-
ass?
on my ass. I don't know. Like
No, that was
you
the
guys seem
Taco
to
Bell.
really like the puzzles, and I'm just like, this is an Uncharted game. There are puzzles. And there's a notebook, and you look at things, and then you do things.
Wait, hold on. There's a notebook.
There's a notebook.
Well, what?
I was doing this with my brain.
I was just
No, I
looking
just-
at it and solving them.
I got it. No, I'm kind of it's kind of a shrug for the puzzles. Like, they're expected. They didn't do anything crazy revolutionary. I thought they were all right. There isn't even one that really stands out in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
And there was
That's
no
fair.
there was no giant like arena where you're like putting different pieces of a knife. Like, I felt like there were no real big, I gotta climb and do a puzzle solve like you had in Uncharted 2. Like that
I don't know.
is
There's that one room where you have to climb down the door.
That's
at the
true,
end.
but that's you jump on like two chandeliers and you pull
True,
a thing,
that's more
and that's it.
mechanical.
That's like
So-
getting to switches kind of. So
Yeah.
that's not a true.
Do you think
solve
it just
this.
wasn't like intricate enough for you?
wasn't challenging.
It wasn't.
enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't a spectacle puzzle
Right.
like in Uncharted 2. Like it's a big arena. You got to climb all the way over here, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and then the whole thing comes together.
But if you really dumb
advanced.
that puzzle down, there wasn't much to that one. It's just a lot of climbing and pointing a mirror.
That's true, but there was no spectacle puzzle like that in this game for me.
okay.
I didn't think there was any real big. Wow, look at that.
You
See,
wanna-
I thought in general these puzzles made you think more.
Okay.
Minus the ones where Sully solves for you.
yeah. Other than that, fucking Silver Fox.
Fucking Alex Trebek over here solving it for him.
Having said that, the climbing segments, which is the third major element to any Uncharted game, they don't ring with me either. They don't really have a lasting impression. Like we're not in the fucking Himalayas, like climbing through these vast vistas, and the camera only took over. The camera changed angles only a couple times, and it's mostly that boat detour that we decided to take in the second 2/3 of the game, where it's like, okay, now we're just going to go to the ocean. We're just going to be with this pirate for a little bit. Where it's like, okay, well, we got the fire in France, we got the desert at the end. Let's do a whole bunch of water shit. Here we go. There's a wrecked boat, and you got to jump from boat to boat to boat and climb. I didn't think that any of the Uncharted big appealing spectacle climbing sections were present in this game.
I did like some of the chase scenes though, where it was a little bit of having to elude, climb, jump, go over. I would have liked some more.
Or like
of
a
those.
running.
The flooding of the boat was, I thought, halfway decent, but it was kind of done with the train when the train is off the cliff. It was the same concept.
Oh, yep.
Escaping on a time thing. It was
Where-
just a boat this time instead of a train.
And but was everything all topsy turvy?
yeah, it's when you're going through the corridor and you're climbing on beds and bookshelves trying to get.
Yeah, no,
higher
I
in the
know what
boat.
you're talking about with the boat. I'm just wondering because you're like, was the train?
Oh, there was a train car hanging off a cliff.
Okay.
And you're climbing up the train car in and out of it before it snaps off.
Gotcha.
The train sequence in Uncharted 2 is like a highlight of the franchise.
Oh, okay.
You need to either watch a video or just
There's
play it.
actually
I'll probably just
couple
end up playing
missions where
it
you start at the back
before
of the train and you're trying to work up to the front of the train, and it's like 40, 50 cars long.
Yeah.
There's
it's-
combat
it's-
and dodging terrain and
Oh,
everything.
neat.
It's really fun.
It's a good part of that game.
Yeah, I did kind of like having to try to figure out like where the fuck you were at where you're gonna go through some of the boat like a couple times, and like I fell off one spot. I'm like, oh fuck, wait, where am I? Oh, okay, I'm here, so I need to jump here and go off. And you know, I did like where that did mix it up a little bit more for the train itself, but I
The
mean,
foot chase with English Pro Jared was only kind of fun.
not so much just that. I think the one that I liked the most was actually when you were playing as young Drake and you were
Okay.
being chased by like the agents, and you're going,
Agents,
that was
literally
kinda-
I
agents.
enjoyed
yeah,
that.
and you're going over the rooftops, and then you're going through other places, and then you're jumping from like one rooftop to another rooftop, ducking and climbing through. I really liked that. I would have liked it more if that was. Obviously, you can only do that so many times in a game
Sure.
before it comes redundant, but that was actually something where I think back and it's like, what did I really enjoy? That's one point that I really did enjoy, you know, in that type of like having to climb in hardcore parkour.
I agree, Steve. That's a solid scene.
You don't think maybe the like the mudslide kind of decay of the city at the end is kind of like an evolution of that? Because that's more straightforward, right?
Yeah, but
that was very short.
That
True.
It was short, and I think because not to say the path was already predetermined with that, but you knew exactly where you needed to go.
The only reason I bring
Wasn't
that
a
up
lot
is
of twists and turns.
no,
Yeah, exactly.
no.
Yeah, it was more linear in where you had to go with it, and I just found myself jumping. Oh, this is cracking. Jumping. Oh, jump again. Oh, I'm hanging off. Need to climb up and jump a little more instead of being like in like a direct path of
Yeah,
seeing where I
yeah.
need to go to follow Sully. It's just you're escaping the agents, and you know you run into a thing. It almost looks like you can go right, but that's not going to work. So you need to go left, and then around the corner, then up like the
Yeah.
box and whatnot.
Yep, got it.
I had actually a really funny moment that I wish I would have clipped. So, like, I got stickied on a ledge during the scene where he's running, like, right at the top of the stairs where you have to go through the little window.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to, like, jump on, like, the fuse box right there. ran up, jumped, and then it looked like he tried to like do a jump and failed, and then as he was coming back down, the guy was like reaching up, and it looked like he just ran his whole hand up Drake's butt.
Oh my god!
And you just hear him go, "Ah, no!"
What's happening? Stranger danger!
You might be able to find it yet in your archives or whatever. That'd be
No,
funny.
that was ages ago. I don't leave saves for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, you reminded me.
Well, ages, but like 2 weeks ago.
There's one thing I want to come back to about Sully and jumping and all that stuff. I want to come back to that, but I mean, think of this as an ending, okay? Drake is chasing English Pro Jared out of the decaying city. Like, we have an evolution now. We had young Drake, a running sequence. We had middle of the game Drake chasing this guy. Now we're at the final act. He's got to chase him. It's longer. It's more intricate. The more things are crumbling around you. It's more dynamic, dramatic, whatever. And then at the end, you have a legitimate boss fight with the guy where you get drugged again and you're not sure what's real and what's not, and you have to defeat him. And then the game ends. Instead of just let's wrestle with this knife a bit, and then okay, the end. Or I shoot you from a cliff there at the end.
I don't know. I kind of liked pressing the triangle button 700 times.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, that
I thought there was a good boss fight.
I think it was a missed opportunity there.
I really broke in that button on my controller.
Yeah, really just broke it.
I need a new one. I need a new one now.
Really just trashed the controller.
It's a trash.
In the trash.
It's really great to have to punch him in the face about 73 times before something actually
I
happens.
know, he is the most durable man in video game history.
He is. He really is.
He's a weak villain.
Very
He's like
weak villain.
135 pounds.
I couldn't stand that he was our main henchman dude.
He was like the final one.
Well,
He-
what I mean is, but Marlo is the real enemy, but she's just she's just.
And then
No,
she's just-
speaking of Marlo too. I don't know if you were watching at this point, but when she went down in the sand, when she was like, ah! I was like, oh god, it's like Golem in her ring.
Yeah, I heard, I did see that part. So Sully, and this is a larger thing with Uncharted in general, I guess. I don't know if I touched on it in the last episode. You might be able to tell me, Harry. But in this one, it was very, very clear because Sully says to him, like, you forget, kid, like, I've got 25 years on you. Anything Drake can do, jumping,
Sully can
climbing,
do
hanging,
better.
Sully can do it. Chloe can do it. Everybody can do it. It kind of bugs me. It's like it makes him less unique. And I might be reading into this way too much. It's just a fucking adventure game. Accept it. But Sully, climbing and doing all this stuff and shooting and everything, and like to me, there should be some kind of like, Drake can climb this, they have to go through the door. Or Drake can climb this, they have to push something over.
He does have his limitations, though.
Yeah, hold on. So there is a lot of that where you, like, when you get to like the mansion in
the
France,
chateau.
there's a lot of times where you're like going through a window, climbing around,
And he's not, you're right.
then
You're right.
letting Sully in. So there is some of that, but also like a lot of the times that Drake is doing a lot of the big scaling and stuff like that. Yeah, he's actually by himself, if you really think about it. There's not a lot of times where he's like scaling up the entire side of a building that Sully's right next to him or Chloe's right next to him. Chloe, I get, actually, being able to do that because she's a cat burglar.
Okay,
But like Sully can jump real far and stuff like that, like just as well as Drake.
There are some things that's what it kind of took me out of the experience, that the other NPCs can do almost everything Drake can.
But I don't think to the extent, like, no one's like falling off of a fucking pipe and going through 2 floors and then getting up and doing it
That
again.
is true. That is true.
Yeah.
No, that's a fair counterpoint.
All right, well, that's all right and good, boys. So let's swing our way into some graphics.
Graphics.
Put it in the trash.
Trash.
Marlo's face looks like an unmade bed.
I thought the graphics were serviceable. I mean, this is an HD remake, so you can't think of it as PS4 graphics. Think about this in terms of like 360 and PS3 graphics.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I honestly, I think the top of graphics for the PlayStation 3 era was Metal Gear Solid 4. I don't think you get better graphics than that in that generation at all. It's really hard to like top that because that thing was just a fucking powerhouse.
Yeah.
But like,
The first game to use a full Blu-ray worth of...
yeah, they jam packed that. So, I think it's up there though. I think the rendering and stuff like that, especially for you start thinking about that time, they're fantastic. I think the design was done really well. I didn't feel like they were reusing a lot of stuff in certain areas. I felt like everything was like different. You were going through a lot of instances where they could have just reused like city streets and stuff like that. I felt like they were all unique and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm at with the graphics.
Visually, so I'll say my one gripe. I had a couple clipping issues, especially with Elena's character model, where like at some point she'd turn her head and like her hair would disappear and then it would be like sticking out of her neck or something
weird.
like that.
Oh,
It was very. It's on my stream too. You can check it out. It's only for a couple seconds though, so good luck trying to find it. Other
Do
than
you remember what part, in case someone's trying to look at the VOD?
it was like a one-on-one scene when I think Drake and Elena are in some kind of dark cavern or something. I don't.
Drake's in Elena's dark cavern.
Ooh.
Maybe it was
Elena's
back.
deception.
He
It's
comes
chlamydia.
back from
the deception.
She's got the STIs.
Oh god, we're not revisiting that.
No.
Other than that, though, environmentally,
Doom internal.
environmentally though, I enjoyed the environments better than the second game.
You're
That-
crazy.
That was my biggest issue with Uncharted 2, and I think Uncharted 2 is great, but I didn't care for almost any of the environments in that entire game.
I remember that was your biggest criticism.
It was.
Are you drugged right now? Do you have a dart hanging out of your neck?
Oop, dart in the neck.
I thought there was a couple scenes that were like very visually stunning in this game. Two that come to mind was that whole plane ride when you're going over the desert.
Yep.
I thought that looked amazing.
Yeah.
And when you're falling out of the plane and just seeing, I don't know. I just really that's going to be a sticking point for this game. Like if I think about this game, I'm going to think of that scene every single time.
The plane is the train in this game.
Kinda.
But
It's not. It
only
doesn't have
in
the game.
Spain.
It doesn't have the gameplay legs. But
No.
visually stunning.
I actually kind of thought that was a cool scene though when the whole plane was ripping apart and
yeah,
you're
and the
fighting
hull
all.
rips
Oh, yeah.
out and you fall out of the...
Yeah, it just looked amazing. I like that whole scene, and it's very odd for like an Uncharted game. But when he's wandering the desert, it
was
just
cool.
keeps
I like
fading
that
in
too.
and out. And
Yeah.
like this is where he's at now. I wish that was a little elongated. Actually, I would have liked to stay in that.
Really? I thought it was a tad too
It just
long.
seemed odd with the fade ins and fade outs and how numerous they were.
You would lose
Yes.
control. I didn't like that. I thought it was more like, okay, I'm gonna like look on my map, and I'm gonna
Like,
get somewhere.
It almost
That's
kind of
what I was
gave you a
hoping for.
sense if you were wandering the desert. It's like, how long is this really going to last?
No. What would have really given you a sense is if they did elongate it and really make you feel the desperation of wanting to get out of this scene.
I wanted to get out of the scene. I felt the desperation.
Did you? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough. But that original city, what was it in Colombia?
Yeah.
I thought that was like really rich with character just looking at it. Like I would have liked to explore that area a little bit more. And I like the mysterious city that they come across more than Uncharted 2's Shambhala.
The Isle of the Sands.
Yeah,
Atlantis of
I
the-
thought it was cool
yeah.
with the
Sands.
giant dust cloud around the whole outside.
Yeah.
Like there was a point where I just kind of stood and kind of
yeah.
looked around and everything.
Soaked it all
They
in.
very, very conveniently always have a cloud over these cities.
I know. So you can't see it from space or something like yeah.
Like, oh,
Where
well, you
is
can just
it?
find
I
this
don't
with
know.
satellites. No, you can't. Clouds.
There's fucking clouds.
Fucking dust storm.
Eternal dust storm.
One thing I know that
Eternal
they...
dust storm? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Eternal
so
dust
just to
storm.
wrap up, like
Yeah,
visually,
sorry,
I
go
thought
ahead.
the game looked not better than the first one though. Something about that first one, the environments just they're going to stick with me.
Harry just loves the jungle.
Let's get a podcast high five on that because I agree.
What? You think the first
Oh.
one looks best?
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing
You're
I
allowed.
did like, because I know they made a big push to kind of take it to the next level with this, was the motion capture, especially like in the facial expressions, like to an extent. That paired with what do you
He's impersonating her going under the sand.
Oh yeah.
I would have got it wasn't for you meddling Sullivan.
For me, no, I just keep
sorry.
seeing it. No.
Yeah. Wait, I'm not sorry. I interrupted just Steve. There you go.
Oh, you're right. That is your
Graphics.
that's your
visual.
season 4
Motion capture.
like capturing some actual like facial expressions, like Elisa's disappointment in Nathan when he wouldn't give up. He's like, just stop. And then it really kind of hit when like you can kind of get the emotion behind it when she was talking to him about how long are you going to keep dragging Sully along for this? Because he will go to the ends with you. Don't do that. And I don't know, that was one scene where you could really kind of see music with like the voice acting where the two of them paired together really gave you the impact of the emotion they were going for in that scene. And that's something that I really appreciated of it, because you could really get an extra depth to it while just not only playing it, but watching this scene unfold and watching the characters interact with each other and actually be able to get those like small face movements where it's between like anguish, I think is the wrong thing I'm looking for, but where it's just coming from like a real place, and I feel like they capture that pretty well.
Graphically, nothing really stands out for me other than the things that we already talked about with the plane and the desert. The first city that you're in, not as a kid, when you're an adult, there was the one view of the city where I stopped and looked, because in every Uncharted game it seems like there's that one big section that you can like look out in the distance and see a lot of detail, and I thought that would be one of them. I thought that looked good. Overall, you guys hit most of the points. The only like negative I can think of is there's the one scene when Drake comes back and he meets with Elena, I guess, in the hotel, and he like rests and she sort of like looks at him, and the camera stays on her, and the difference between her face and her hand was really distinct for some reason. Like there was a lot of detail in her hand, and it looked a little weird as compared to her face. I don't know what that was about. That's the only... that and a lot of enemy types repeating, which I guess is just a staple of that generation, and I need to accept it for what it is. Just a lot of the enemy types repeated over and over and over again.
That's something Naughty Dog has not been good at historically.
Okay.
Is varying their... Because like if you think about it, like they didn't have to do that much for like Last of Us even.
Yeah.
Like the enemy types are not vastly different.
No, you just have a few different types, and then they just keep repeating throughout the game.
Well, even the human enemies in that they're all typically the same.
Like towards the end when you're running through the hospital, they are basically all
They're
the
all
same
trash
person.
people, pretty much. Like they're all just
Trash.
Pittsburgh. They got it bad.
I'm the trash man. Come in there and start throwing garbage.
I'm a trash man.
Speaking of trash, did you like that gif I sent you? You're like, I have opinions.
I like
on Facebook.
Good. Oh, yeah.
Did you see the gif? It's just like some dude dressed up in a Sonic costume holding a bag of trash that says opinions on it. Just
Dropping it in. Cool. So let's be swept away by a massive dust storm into music.
Whoa. Actually, being swept away. Where did that huge wave come from?
Yeah,
Do you remember that? You remember that
Big
one
fucking
wave?
it's obviously a fucking tsunami. Harry.
Yeah. Oh my god. There was an earthquake thousands of miles away.
Somewhere.
Now,
About a month ago, there was an earthquake.
the waves don't even
Now-
get that big until they get close to land.
Off topic.
Maybe
I
close to
just need to know, how many of you guys kept trying to swim out to the boat before you went back to the docks, realizing that you can't swim out to the giant like cruise ship and keep getting knocked back by the wave?
God, Steve.
I never did that once.
Okay.
I want to see your gameplay, Steve. Because did you stream any of that? No. Wait, you can do that?
I'm gonna make it. I tried.
Just grabs a life preserver and just starts kicking.
I tried at
What
least like
happens when you get out there? Do you drown?
Do you gray
no,
screen
a
or
giant wave pushes you back.
What the fuck?
Why is he like? Oh God, there's got to be a surfboard or something.
No. Because my thought was, okay, maybe when the wave hits, you have to dive at a certain point to get
God,
underneath
I'd love
of
to
it.
see the stream where he's standing in one of the fucking lifeboats to the side, like, go! Just go!
No, not in the lifeboat. Swimming.
No, I understand that,
Yeah,
but after a few tries, you just stand in a lifeboat. Just go to the fucking boat!
No, the big tell was when I went back and got up on the dock, and he said something about, I need to go here. I'm like, oh, fuck.
I'm surprised the developers were like, well, some idiot's going to try to swim out there. Let's put a massive wave that
Right
brings
here.
him right back to the
Like,
dry dock.
They might have seriously. A programmer, honestly,
play-tested.
Steve, a programmer might have made that wave
Just for
just
me.
for you. You
Just for me.
Did you get a trophy when that happened?
No.
That might be an Easter egg that nobody knows about. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
If you swim towards the boat, a wave takes you back.
Like, Carl, don't waste
Yeah.
your programming time on this. No. This is
No.
really going to come in handy.
Someone's
Someone's going to do this.
Hello. I am the
Hello,
reason you
it's
put
Steve.
these things in the games.
We're going to get hit up on Twitter by Naughty Dog.
Dog.
You found it!
You
The only
found the
secret we had
way.
left.
It took 9 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Lots of fun with that one.
Now let's get swept away by my wave of shame into music.
Does it crash or does it flow?
Music.
Oh, it flows.
So I was thinking, Steve, you mentioned something about the facial expressions
Words
when
on.
you said it like Elena and Drake were talking.
Yeah.
Thinking back, I kind of remember the acting and dialogue between those two being the most believable in any conversation within the game. Like, I feel like that was the most
Genuine.
genuine, yes.
Yeah.
And, like, realistic.
So, interesting fact about that. Those two
Nolan North?
filmed all of their scenes together
Okay.
in mocap. This is where like Naughty Dog did their whole thing. Like, you know how like The Last of Us, like every interaction between them, regardless of content, was all acted in a scene together.
Yeah.
That's where they kind of started. They started doing that a few times in this, and then all of that transitioned to The Last of Us.
And probably 4.
And I
four,
I
yes.
think that's a really good way to go. You get the sense that they're feeding off of each other.
The key is that they're being filmed together,
Right.
And acting it almost like a stage play, So
Right.
you get that extra emotional content versus just doing the motion capture without anybody else around.
And I said that not to take away from the Drake-Sully dynamic, but I thought the Elena Drake was better performed.
Yeah.
I think that's a trope throughout the entire series, though. I feel like their interactions are just.
I wouldn't have said that on other games.
She's the best waifu.
Oh my god.
The what?
Waifu?
What?
Elena is best waifu.
You know.
He doesn't know what that is.
Oh, well.
Because
Okay.
he's not a child of the internet like us.
Okay, boomer.
Cut.
Okay. Whoa.
Oh no, that stays in. No, that stays.
Cut.
We're gonna date Harry here.
It's probably intentional that their relationship is strong, and it's maybe it was a subconscious thing. I don't know, but it's probably intentional that comes through that strong.
I think the line delivery from everyone is pretty good. I didn't really hate any of like the voice acting in this, except for Marlo. I thought Marlo was terrible when as she's dying
At the very end.
But I thought the henchman, fucking British Pro Jared or whatever, I thought he was bad. I actually
Pro
thought
Jared.
he was actually pretty flat and
Oh,
abysmal.
yeah.
I didn't think he,
Very generic villain.
yeah,
Very.
even when he like, but I mean like just the sound quality of the voice actor that they had for it, where he's like Drake, like it's just. Okay, you suck at this.
The only part I liked is when he's drugged and he's sort of like he's sort of
Whispering?
talking to him while he's drugged. That's
okay.
the only time that the performance even registers.
I'm here, Drake.
Because Ralph, anyone can act like this.
Okay,
When you don't
all
have,
right,
when,
fine.
when you don't have to put any emphasis into your words.
I was
It's very
racking my
easy to
brain.
act.
I was racking my brain for anything that stood out.
I'm just
Now
saying,
we're all
like,
gonna
just-
talk like this.
wow, Finish the show.
I'm not
Finish the show.
bad guy.
Finish the show.
Welcome to Super Fun ASMR.
Super fun ASMR.
Oh, I feel bad for anybody. It's like I'm going to turn up the volume to listen. Fuck my eardrums.
R.I.P. headphone users.
Yeah. Hope you like that one and your bleeding eardrum.
Music.
The main theme stands out in my brain all the time.
My brain.
In my brain
It's the same
dome.
thing. They haven't really reiterated on it much. It's the same kind of just. It's funny. Like I really honestly think that like the Uncharted theme, if it was all just one song, it would make sense as gradual transitions to one another.
Yeah.
And you just cut it into 3 sections and boop boop boop. There it is.
I mean, it had your classic, you know if something's about to happen because it had the undertone change of the background music that was going on.
Yeah, but I it's just background music. I don't think anything really stands out to me about the music.
No, there was actually one track that grabbed my attention towards the end of the game, and it was heavily influenced from like Arabian culture and the instruments that they use, but it actually sounded very well. I was waiting for it to kind of kick up a notch. I thought it was going to like kind of I don't know.
All right,
No, you're
man,
good.
we-
You're
waiting for the
Bam!
breakdown. You're waiting for the bam. Bam.
It sounded very well. I think I know what you're talking about. Like they started to bring some instruments in that let you know where you are in the world.
But
Like that
there
kinda
was
stuff.
one kind of that sounded really good.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. That's all I have on it.
Harry's just sitting on the stream. Someone kick it up a notch. Somebody bring the bam.
The bam.
Bow, bow, bow.
Bam.
Personally, my music minute is just going to be that
Ralph's Music Minute. Ba-da-da.
I don't think this does anything spectacular. I think it's all par for the course and par for the franchise. Maybe that means that it's better than half the games out there. I don't know, but to me, it just nothing stands out in particular. It was there.
Same Zizio.
And that was Ralph's Music Minute. Ba-da-da.
I'll be honest. Do you remember when we played the first Uncharted and I had a real issue with the sound effect when you would pick up the treasure? I forget.
Yeah.
I think it was almost like the didgeridoo for that. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. It was very specific, and it annoyed the fuck out of me on Uncharted 1. But like,
How'd you feel
I had
about
no
this one?
gripe with any sound effects ever since on Uncharted 1. Like,
Interesting.
we've really progressed from that annoying fucking clip of it.
Or you become less of a snob. I don't know which it is.
No, it can't be that.
I'd laugh if it was the same
Same
thing.
sound
Yeah,
effect.
he just
It
got
sounded
used to it.
different.
He's like, I found treasure.
Find the
No.
difference between these two pictures.
No, it's I think it sounds more like almost like a bag of coins rustling.
Yeah,
when you pick
yeah.
up when you
Yeah,
pick
yeah,
up
yeah.
treasure now. It's like a
Stop, guys.
There's like a little sprinkle of like glitter in there.
Who brought the
You
maracas?
can hear the glitter.
That's what glitter sounds like.
Yeah,
Oh, I was
All right,
wondering what that was.
do you want to move us on there, Mr. Steve-O?
Yeah, I think it's time that we bring it around and sink this lost city into some final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
I'll give it to you.
No, I'll give it to you. Yeah, that was it. I like it. It's like some.
That was the Uncharted
There's
one.
a fife at the end.
Oh, that's one.
That's the music when you pick up
Yeah.
treasure.
They really kicked
Somebody
that shit
bring
up.
the fucking bam! Kick it up a notch! You're stupid.
Yeah, you stupid face.
You eat it, Dick Ralph.
No, you're Ralph.
We all know this sound effect.
Great job, Ralph. Thanks for bringing that to the table.
Ralph's
Literally.
extended music minute.
It's extended. You gotta extend it.
Ralph Love extends. Please
All right,
watch
so
my infomercial.
Who wants to do final thoughts?
I'll hop in.
Hop on in.
Of the quadrilogy, the original trilogy on PS3, however you want to fucking figure it out for yourselves.
The trilogy plus one.
Fuck you, Harry.
Figure it out.
Why did everybody
Are you
turn to
doing the
Gnarls
Spider-Man
Barkley?
in goggles?
Is that a meme I haven't seen?
Dude, it's a Vine.
Oh, what does he say? It's Friday night or something.
It is Wednesday, my dude. And guess what? It's Wednesday, my dudes.
Harry. Okay.
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 So,
Just keep all that in. Just
Yeah, yeah.
random yelling.
What is that sound?
of the
Steve, is that you?
No.
of the original or the original 3 on PS3, the original trilogy, we'll say. Okay.
The OGs?
I think this is the weakest of the 3. And I think that's, there's a few reasons that, I've said over and over and over. I love the series, and I'm really glad they put out a 4th game. And I kind of feel like maybe the developers thought this was a weaker entry and not how they wanted to leave the game. Because a lot of people were pushing for Last of Us 2 right away, and they were like, we want to go back to Uncharted real quick. And they put out Uncharted 4, and I think that leaves you off in a better spot. So I think this is just a weak point.
Harry?
Sure. I'm going to kind of agree. I don't think it's a huge step down
Right, yeah,
from the other two,
yeah.
but there are some weak points to it, and it can't live up. So I think the dialogue is the best in the second one, but I think the setting is the best in the first one. I don't... Maybe the well, I don't want to say the gameplay is the best in the third.
You can't.
The puzzles are the best in the third one, but it's not like one of the main focal points of the game, so it just can never rise to the same...
I would say the puzzles and platforming are better in this one than the other.
I'll say that.
The other two, because they improved their mechanics for the...
Oh, they definitely did.
So, yeah, I think that's like the sticking point of the third.
But the other two things stand out in my mind more. They're going to have more of a lasting impression, so I can't put it on the same pedestal as the other two, although I can't say this enough. It's not a huge step down. It's just a minor step.
What you got, Ralph?
I'm disappointed with this one. I went in with tempered expectations. I knew that 2 was one of the best in the franchise going into this, but I was kind of optimistic that I would find something in this game that made me challenge that perception, and unfortunately I wasn't. Unfortunately I didn't. The gameplay really let me down. Like I said, I liked the story, and I liked the setup, and I liked where it seemed like things were going, but ultimately it felt like a slog almost the whole way. I also felt like the ending, not just the boss fight and wrapping up and Marlowe and everything else, but the ending with everything being done, the cutscene, Sully, the ring, Elena, the plane. I was expecting more of a final end. Like they were gonna wrap it all up, and then Uncharted 4 was gonna pick up from some place down the line. With this, it seems like they had 4 in mind, and they just kind of, okay, we're going to end it here. That's it. There was no pomp or circumstance to this is the end of the third one, the last one on the PlayStation 3. I didn't get any of that, and I was a little surprised. Begrudgingly a disappointment. I didn't want to be disappointed.
How about you, Steve?
I really did enjoy this game all around. There are aspects that I wish were done a little better. Some things I wish that I could have had a little more of. The chase parkour type stuff. I only really have the first one to compare this to, so I really feel like I am missing out a good bit of critique by not playing Uncharted 2, which, if anything, from what you guys have said tonight, really drives me to want to play and beat that, just so I can also get to Uncharted 4 with Clark was adding in too.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
had the collection, right? The same.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're just sitting on it.
Yeah, it's available. So this is actually going to now actually be one of the games that I can play that isn't just necessarily for the podcast, but it was already done. So this is for me, so I can take my time, go through, and really dive into it.
I hate to say this, but you're missing the meat of the sandwich.
Oh, because 1 and 3 are bread. I see where you're going with that. Ironic, the vegan talks about the meat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're missing the vegetables from your sandwich.
Big mushroom.
Big fucking mushroom.
I mean, I can reiterate where I think the dialogue was really good. It was a little lacking in some points from certain characters. As a whole, I am glad that we are exploring the whole series, and I will be fully caught up for at some point when we're going to do Uncharted 4 by playing 2 and completing the initial trilogy, so we can come with the quadrilogy.
All right, you guys have made your jokes.
Okay.
I'd like to make a final point for thoughts.
P.S.
Final thought
Before the score?
Before Swerve?
I was thinking about like the stories as a whole. I think the first one is like a really clean, well organized story, and then the second one, you take this train scene, and it looks like they built the story on both ends of that.
Oh, you said that in the other episode.
The third one, it looks like they took the early scene, because I think they wanted to do this past history of Sully and Nathan, but they also wanted to do this plane scene, and I think they were trying to link those two, and it caused like this huge mess. I think this is the least organized story
They had
of
2
the
puzzle
three.
pieces, and they're trying to put them together, and also put other puzzles.
And they just
all in one.
Oh my god! The game is a puzzle. We have to figure it out.
Holy fuck. This
How
is
can
so,
we review this without figuring out the puzzle?
This got
Sully will
so
just tell
meta.
You just reminded me that the whole sequence with the plane and the desert and everything makes me think of The Living Daylights, the James Bond movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Timothy Dalton. Anyway,
All right, so we are gonna all board an old, rickety, familiar plane and fly into the sunset right on into the score.
The score.
I'll go first.
No, I want Harry to go first.
Oh shit. Okay.
No, I want
Aggressive.
Harry to go first.
That's very aggressive. I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Nailed it, Harry. It's a little step down.
Little step. Just for the record, 8.0 for the other two Uncharted games.
Oh.
And I said they're tied for different reasons. But this one's 7.5. It is a little worse than those two. And this is going to tie with Fallout 3.
All right. Hey, Ralph. What you got, my friend?
I have a solid shrug for this game. Very solid shrug.
Is that where you start to shrug and then you get stuck like rigor mortis?
No, not like that.
Solid?
No, not like I have a neck problem. No.
Yeah.
He's adding odd points to his
Yeah, I
3-point
didn't.
scale.
Because I said solid. Okay, it's just a shrug. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's a true, it's a true
solid
neutral
shrug or like a watery shrug.
Or like a liquid shrug?
gas shrug.
Is it a solidus
It's
shrug?
oh my god, stop! It is.
It's a liquid
It's
shrug.
a true neutral.
It was me all along.
It's a
Liquid shrug.
Also,
It's a neutral chaotic shrug.
it's lawful neutral.
Fucking nerds.
So it's a 9-point scale now.
It's a shrug.
This is chaotic evil.
All right, Clark.
I'm just a genie in a bottle, baby.
Got it. Rub it in.
Just gotta
Let me out.
Rub it and let me out.
And then shoot me with a rocket gun. Rocket gun.
Y'all want to see my dot gun?
It just fucking blows out through the water. Watch out, wrinkle lady.
That gun.
Bag of sheets.
That gun was stupid.
Yeah, it was
he's
dumb.
like, ooh, I'm taking this. I'm like, what is that? What the fuck am I looking at?
Who the fuck knows what it is?
You know what would have made this game great if they showed the animation of him blowing the dart, just going. Boom. Like how ridiculous! Like he was already a shitty villain, but just to see him running around with a dart gun,
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It had to have been a pistol, right?
Yeah.
I would give this a get it on sale. You can get it for free right now, and I think it's a great value for getting it on free because you're getting a bunch of good games and Uncharted 3.
And a headache.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I did.
Huh?
You get a bunch of good games
And Uncharted 3.
I think it's worth it on sale, though. Like, as a collection. Now, if you were going to buy it for PlayStation, again, sale. Like, it's... I don't think you can pass it up because you need it for 4. It's important for 4. And it's not that long of a game, so the value's there. Mr. Steve!
That leaves me. This is going to be a more solid B for me. To be more solid than Ralph, because
What the fuck? That's not a thing?
yeah, it is. If you take the right pills, it is.
Wow, a solid B?
No,
Pills?
a more solid B.
A more solid B.
Yeah.
You making constipation jokes now?
No, B stands for boner.
Boom.
I'm talking about little blue pills.
Oh my god.
Get a little blue chew in your life.
Get a little blue pills.
Bring the boom.
Said I needed a blue pill.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the B. I mean, it's definitely
Please.
yeah. No, it's definitely something that you should play. It is fun. It's something you can put down for a little bit, pick up again a little bit, and then
put it back down
put
again.
it back down again.
Maybe pick it up a
again,
little later.
pick it up, and then I'm like, I don't know how this
eventually.
how this feels in my hand. Okay, I'm going to play with this a little bit, and then all of a sudden, there's an old woman drowning in quicksand. Yeah, most disappointing.
I don't think she makes that sound.
I don't. You know, it would have
does
been better
now.
if she did.
She does in my mind.
She does now in my brain dome. Well, all right, people. Thank you for
and aliens.
and aliens. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on our adventure.
Thank you so much.
Drake's
Thank you.
adventure of Uncharted 3. So stick around for our next Mubbers coming your way in 2 weeks.
1, 2, 2.
1, 2. You do 1, 2. I love you guys.
Stay lovely.
Stay lovely.
Loves.
Be beautiful.
Jesus.
I know.
Thanks for listening to Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Stay up to date on our Facebook at facebook.com/superfunpodcast.